My little sister, 28F, is recently engaged. I, 30F, got married about 6 years ago. I've since divorced and am engaged again. Our mum died 5 years ago, shortly after my wedding. At my wedding 6 years ago, the photographer took a photo of my mum fastening a necklace around my neck. My little sister has told multiple people that when she gets married, she plans to hire someone with graphic design skills to remove me from that photo and Photoshop herself in my place. So far, I've said nothing, but I've always felt hurt by that idea, and now that she is actually planning a wedding, I am wondering if I should put my foot down. At the same time, I don't want to add to her pain either. Background on prioritizing her feelings/wants leading up to this point. Very shortly after our mum died, all my sisters, including my older married sisters, expressed that they wanted our mum's engagement ring. As my little sister didn't get to have our mum at her wedding and the rest of us did get that experience, I urged my dad to hang on to our mum's engagement ring for our little sister for when she eventually were to get engaged. Ultimately, I was successful in advocating for her to inherit our mum's ring. Once engaged, she decided to reset the ring so the only part of it that remains is the central diamond. It is a completely different design now and is unrecognizable. We are all a bit miffed by that, but what's done is done. Next, we both wanted to use our mum's wedding dress in our upcoming weddings, but she plans to alter it beyond recognition as it was a long sleeve, A-line dress and she wants a strapless mermaid-style dress. I proposed that we each wear it but not make significant alterations, but she brought up that I'm the only one who didn't get to have mum at her wedding, and I do feel for her, so I dropped my bid to wear the dress. But at this point, I feel inclined to draw the line at removing me from my own photo with my mum. Yes, I did get to have my mum at my first wedding. I won't have her at my wedding to the person I'll be spending the rest of my life with, so I'm feeling some sadness there too. If someone is going to be photoshopping someone out of that picture, I feel it should be me photoshopping my 24-year-old self out for my 31-year-old self. She also has tons of photos with our mom she could use for this purpose instead, as well as photos of our mom's solo that no one would need to be removed from. Obviously I can't force her to not do as she pleases with the photo, but WIBTA if I tell her I'm not okay with that and that she doesn't have my permission or blessing to remove me from my wedding photo with my mum? ETA many people suggesting lawsuits so want to clarify that no I would not sue over this. I love my sister and don't want to add to her grief. I'm only grappling with whether or not it's worth it to ask her not to use my photo in this way. Comment 1. I'm a portrait artist who has done artwork of grandparents and grandbabies that never got to meet, wedding shots that never happened, and so on. Encourage your sister to seek out an artist to create something special for her, rather than editing your wedding photo. OP comment. That is such a nice idea. When my little sister got engaged, I'd asked if she'd be interested in me hiring a painter to do one of the whole family including our mum and her groom, as a wedding gift, and she was into it. But I hadn't thought about suggesting this as an alternative to this Photoshop idea. Maybe I can get something like that done ahead of time based on pictures of her dressing fitting/HMU trail, plus the photo of my mum from my wedding, and surprise her on the morning of her wedding with it. I think that would make her feel very touched/seen and probably negate the desire to change the actual photo of me and my mum. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Comment 2. You, or possibly the original photographer, own the copyright for the original photo. You absolutely can stop her from illegally violating copyright. If she's planning to ask a professional to do the edit, they should either say no, or make her prove she has permission to do it. My dad and my stepmother got married when I was 9 and I'm 17 now. They have 3 kids together. My mum died when I was 8, but my parents were already divorced, and I think my dad was already dating my stepmother at that point. Either that or they rushed the relationship because they assumed I would need a new mom because mine died. It was a crazy AF time. My dad and stepmother decided we needed therapy together because she was struggling and wanted to communicate some stuff to the two of us that she had not before. In therapy she started off talking about how she feels like she's second best or a consolation prize with me. She feels like I see her as less than a parent, less than a mother, and it hurts. She talked about marrying my dad expecting we would be so close, and how she believed a newly motherless child would need someone else to fill in. But that the whole time we've known each other she feels like I do nothing but compare her to Mum, or dismiss her in favor of Mum, and leave her in second place a lot. She said she wanted to be more important to me than that. She wanted to Mum in my eyes. She didn't want to feel like I would gladly toss her aside if my mum came back. I'll say now, in therapy she was called out for that. She was told it was cruel to toss that in my face when I'm old enough to be aware my mum is never coming back. She spoke for several sessions about feeling second best / like the consolation prize and like I don't care for her at all. She brought up how I never hug her or how I correct anyone who mistakes her for my mum. Another thing was the fact I have never said I love you to her. She noticed that and she said many times she waited and waited for me to say it but it never came. She talked about how every mention of my mum hurts her down to her core, because she can hear how much I love my mum. She admitted to hating my mum, to wanting to wave a magic wand and have me forget her so she's not coming in second to her always. There were lots more things said too. I was asked to address what she said for several sessions, but I knew it might come across as cruel if I did, so I refused to engage. But my dad kept pressing me on the issue and the counselor was trying to reassure me that I would not be penalized for speaking up. After a lot of pressing and then my stepmother got involved and told me to speak because we needed to work through this and she needed me to acknowledge her feelings and work on us coming together. I was honest. I said she was never second best or a consolation prize because she was never in the running. I never saw her as mum. I never considered her to be a possible new or second mum. I never ever looked at her in that way or wanted her to be that for me, and that she was always competing against my dead mum for nothing. My dad and stepmother were so angry after I said all this. 2 weeks later and it was mentioned in therapy but they're still furious with me. Comment 1. NTA, you were just being honest and that's totally okay. Your dad needs to accept that and stop pushing. Also him marrying stepmother a year after your mum passed must have been really difficult. I'm not sure how old you are now as the second digit is missing so not sure how long it's been since the loss being in therapy etc. Tough break though and I'm really sorry. All the best to you. Comment 2. NTA. They pushed for an answer, and you gave an honest one. They don't have a right to be angry at you because they didn't like your response. I am a stepmother, and I have no children of my own. My stepdaughter treats me like a friend, a confidant if she wants one, and I help her to navigate situations with a different perspective. However, she has a mother, she doesn't need to, and I would never try to undermine that. I don't understand these blended families, where the step-parent insists that they want equal status as a biological parent, especially where the biological is deceased, and then get upset when the child resents them for it. Comment 3. NTA. It's unrealistic for her to expect all of the things she mentioned, especially given your age when your mother died. Good for you for trying to put off mentioning your opinion, and I believe this is a case of play stupid games, win stupid prizes on your father and stepmother's part. Your counselor also isn't great, because they can't guarantee that you won't be penalized. I've never been to therapy, but that doesn't sound like something they should be saying, even if they would like it to be true. I need to buy a new car, and I would love to have a manual transmission. It's my one non-negotiable. I grew up driving manual, and I miss it deeply. All of my cars have been inherited, so I've never had a say in my car's features/specs. This will be the first car I've purchased for myself. Finally, I'm a car guy. I enjoy driving, and I've always wanted a sporty car, but also have it fit my needs. My wife is 7 months pregnant and bought herself a new mid-size SUV last year, with her own money. She views cars as a way of getting from A to B, with practicality and comfort. Note, we have to park our cars back to front in our gravel driveway, with one car being in the garage. I will widen the driveway, which I can do it in a weekend, so we can park our cars side by side. We have mostly separate finances, but have a joint CC and checking account, which we both contribute to monthly. The rest is our personal money that we keep in personal bank accounts, including separate savings and separate investments. I'm paying the down payment and monthly payments on the new car. So I feel the decision is mine, but happy to listen to my wife's thoughts, reciprocation from her car purchase. When I started the car buying process, I went with Sport Compacts, which are in my budget. Based on our prior discussions, the car has to be a daily commuter for me, allow me to take the kids to / from daycare, and quick local trips. My wife thinks these cars are too small and cannot fit our needs with a baby and a potential second child. She says there's not enough space for kids' stuff. There is, and the back seats won't fit two backward-facing car seats. They will. I've tried to show her my research, but she refused to watch the videos or read the articles I've bookmarked. Her main sticking point is she won't be able to drive it because it's a manual. She's concerned she won't be able to drive it when she'll need to, in an emergency. I told her I'm happy to teach her manual, but at first she flat out refused to learn. Now she says she'll learn, but gives an excuse of how we'll be too busy. I said if it's that important she drive the car, her mom can stay for a weekend to watch the baby and we can take a day for her to learn. Again, she said we won't have time. Every time we discuss it, she accuses me of ignoring our family and that she needs to be able to drive the car. I say she's creating a false dichotomy, and the car I want can fit our needs. I also argue that her car can be the big family car for trips or hauling, and my car can be for easy parking during city trips or sports events. Note, I don't drink, so I will always be able to drive. We've had many arguments over this. The most recent resulted in her giving me the cold shoulder for 2 days. I am at my wit's end and ready to buy without her blessing. Comment 1. Gonna have to say YTA. If this is the second car for the family and your wife can't drive it, that sucks. My husband also has a manual, but it's our third vehicle, so we each have one car that is usable for both people. What if her car is in the shop and she has to take the baby to the hospital? I definitely get wanting your own car to be a manual, but it kinda blows she can't drive it. And now probably isn't the time to learn. I'm 8 months pregnant and can barely fit behind the wheel of the truck, and I don't really feel like learning how to drive it. But that's just me. Comment 2. YTA. It's sad, but when you have a family, they come first. And there is no way a compact sport car can fit comfortably 2 backward-facing car seats. You'll end up driving with your knees stuck in the steering wheel. And your wife won't be able to comfortable drive it. You can show her, but without practice, she'll never be comfortable driving it. And there will be moments where she will have to. Do like people usually do, wait until the kids goes to college before starting your midlife crisis. Sports car don't fit with family life. Comment 3. She's 7 months pregnant. Trust me, learning to drive manual is below the bottom of her list of important things in her life right now. And it's not a realistic ask. It's honestly not the time of life when manual versus automatic transmission matters. Get a car that works for the family as a whole right now. You'll realize in 2 months that daddy's and mommy's toys are gonna be on the back burner for a bit. I'm married with a 4 and a 6-year-old. I have a sister who is 24. She graduated from college and got a decent first job, but got laid off about a year ago and has been living with my parents since. I think she may have had some service industry jobs here and there, but generally hasn't worked much in the last year. My wife and I have good jobs but try to be relatively frugal because kids are expensive. My wife and I are planning a trip to Disney with my wife's sister, and her husband, and their 5-year-old. My wife and her sister are very close, and her husband and I are decently good friends these days. My sister heard about this trip and is really clamoring to go with us. We never went to Disney growing up, and she said she's wanted to go forever and really wants to go with us and the kids. She, however, would not be able to pay her way for the flight/ticket/ and all that. We'd expect to sponsor her. It would all in all cost us about $1,000. My wife and I talked about it and decided it would be worth it to us if she would help babysit some of the nights so we could have some just adult time. So we offered her this, thinking it was generous but a win-win for all of us. Long story short, she felt otherwise and said we're trying to take advantage of her and treat her as a nanny, not family. I think this is kinda ridiculous, as she's not my kid, so in my mind there's not reason to pay for her just because if she's not doing anything to be helpful. Would like some feedback from neutral parties if I'm asking too much. Comment 1. Natar. If she really wants to go with no strings attached, she can pay her own way. Problem solved. You're offering to pay in exchange for maybe 10 to 15 hours of free time. That's like she's making $65 to $100 an hour. She's spoiled. That's why she doesn't have a job and can't keep one. Your parents created this mess. They can pay for her to go to Disney. Comment 2. NTA, you generously offered to give her an all-expenses-paid trip to Disney. She is upset because you aren't willing to do that for nothing. Maybe she should spend less time mooching off of everyone in her life and more time applying for full-time employment. I lives with my parents into my late 20s, but I also had 2 part-time jobs and spent all of my free time applying for a job with benefits. Comment 3. Oh wow, nope NTA. She doesn't have the ability to fund her own trip and to expect you, not her parents, to fund her trip, when she is the one who has asked to go with you. You didn't invite her, for free is pretty ballsy. Asking her to pay her way by babysitting a couple of nights is very generous, Imho. You said it would cost you about $1,000 to add her. She would need to babysit the 3 kids for minimum 6 hours each night for 5 nights to make that amount. Equals $11/child/hour for 6 hours x 5 nights or $200/night x 5 nights. Yeah, I wouldn't take her for any reason, now, due to her entitlement.